celebrating the world's most popular sport. This is Ultimate Soccer. And now your host, here's Soccer Steve.
This is tonight's shirt. What about that, eh? Another in-house, upcycled Team Canada shirt. Isn't that just lovely, eh? Okay, let's get into the show. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Thank you again, all subscribers. And thank you, subscribers. I really mean that. And also, thank you to all the poets who comment down below. Got a great show for you. I should have put this up yesterday, but I made a decision not to. The reason why was I wanted to have a bit more of the MLS and the Canadian clubs in this. Yesterday I could have looked at it, and today I can talk about it with results. So that's why we delayed it. And I'm going to use that over the next little while to maybe put a show in on Friday or maybe Saturday night. And it all depends, literally, how the games line up. So, thank you for joining in. Again, big up to the subscribers, big up to people who comment down below. I love it. I hope you do too. Now, moving on. First thing we're going to touch, we're not wasting any time, we're going straight into this. Player of the Month for Canada in February. In the women's game, ladies first. In the women's game, it was Vanessa Gilles, and basically, she got the Player of the Month for the women's team for basically scoring a super goal against England at the Arnold Cup in England. And Canada drew 1-1-1 and lost one. We could have won that tournament, but in the last game we lose to Spain. And that was a shocker. I didn't expect Spain to win it. Anyway, staying with Vanessa, she's the Women's National Team Player of the Month for February, and it is always announced a month later. Yeah? So, well done, Vanessa. A great goal against England. Heads it in the far post as the keeper's coming across to the left. Vanessa slams it over to the right, and it was a gentle header. And it just goes in, but it's one of the biggest goals that Canada's ever scored, and it's been decades since we beat England in the women's game. So, there you go. Vanessa Gilles is in the Player of the Month category for the women's game, and in the men's category, it's Milan Bojan, our great national goalkeeper. You really don't need to know, or you really don't need to think too long why Milan Bojan won the Men's Player of the Month tournament. I mean, just look how many games he's played in qualifying recently, and in the last 3, I gave him Player of the Month twice, and that's why I feel he's won Player of the Month. Will he get it next month? I don't think so. They seem to pass it around, yeah? Yeah, so, anyway, Player of the Month, Milan Bojan for the men, and Vanessa Gilles for the ladies. Now, one other thing I want to touch on, moving a little bit further forward, the Canadian Championship. Right, the dates are out. Check the picture, you'll see the games, and it's not for a little while till it starts, but now you know the draw, the Canadian Championship draw. Take a good look at that. You've got Montreal and CFC further in, but Vancouver are playing from the start. Yeah. So, Vancouver fans, I hope you don't lose another big game. In fact, I hope you get pretty successful. So, there you go. Canadian Championship is in. Take a look, take a gander. And, you know what? It's too early to call the winner of it all. But if you want to, drop a comment down below or email steve@theultimatesoccershow.com and let me know what you're thinking. And we'll get on this together. So, there's a little slice of important Canadiana news. But we're going back now to do a player focus on now we're focusing on Milan Bojan, our national goalkeeper. I tell you what, he's been phenomenal in goal for us. I think that, quite honestly, he's saved us probably 4 times from a draw where we've got to win. He's been absolutely massive in goal. And he's making it hard for Maxime Crepeau to even get a start. I'm sure when a game comes along in qualifying that means nothing, I'm sure Johnny Herdman's going to put Maxime Crepeau in goal. He deserves to. Maxime's a great keeper. But Milan is our numero uno. And let's face it, 34 years old. He's played 137 times for Red Star Belgrade, which is where he is right now. And in the week, I watched Milan play against Rangers of Glasgow. Glasgow Rangers FC, and Milan played for Red Star Belgrade in the Europa Liga, which is a massive competition. Another Canadian playing in a massive competition, but it's the Europa Liga. Unfortunately, Rangers slapped Red Star Belgrade 3-0. Even the commentators couldn't believe the scoreline. Going back to Red Star, it's going to be a massive game. Can they pull off a 3-0 win? They could. It's going to be interesting. But Milan needs better defence around him. And that's the first time I've seen Milan lose a game for a long time. Because he keeps winning with Canada. And that's lovely. So Milan Borjan, he does lose a game. But it's with Red Star Belgrade in Scotland against Glasgow Rangers 3-0. And he didn't look bad on any of the goals. But again, he needed defence. And that kind of defence is what Canada offers Milan Borjan around him to make his life easy. But yeah, Red Star Belgrade player, he's doing pretty good. He's doing pretty good. I'll tell you what, you've got to say, the only thing that it seems strange is he's got 61 games in for Canada. He's been capped. A cap is a game for your national team. You get a little cap. And it says who plays who, the date, and doesn't say a score, but it says where. So you do get a ball cap, per se, back in the day, for every game you played for your national team. That's why they call it capped. You're getting capped by your team. It doesn't mean you're getting capped. It means you're getting capped. Okay? So Milan Borjan, 61 games for Canada. 2020, no appearances down to the COVID and travel and the rest of it. But since then, he's been our number one. And I think quite surely, Milan is definitely going to be our number one for possibly the next 4 years. But look for someone maybe to breathe down his collar for the next World Cup. Not this World Cup, where we're going in Qatar, because we're there. But the next World Cup, 2026, when we host it. Isn't that going to be nice to say we played in a World Cup in Qatar and a few years later, or we get to play in our own World Cup in Canada, Mexico, the USA? It's fantastic. It's a long way away. But I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to Qatar. And I know you are too. And by the way, thanks for tuning in again. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, guys. Pass this around. Let's build it. And I mean, really, let's pass this around to as many soccer fans as you can. Let's build this. Let's get all the Canadians on board. Doesn't that look nice, eh? Lovely little leaf on my chest. Boom. Go Canada, go. So, Milan Borjan, big player. Player of the month. Helping us in qualifying. And I tell you, we got great goalkeeping. We got great goalkeeping. But Canada, going back to Craig Forrest and even further, we've always had great keepers. Lars Hirschfeld from Edmonton. I interviewed Lars many, many times over the years, and he's a wonderful guy. Pat Onstad, I interviewed Pat as well. Fantastic guy. And a few of the other players too that you know as well. I've done my time and interviewed some of the best guys. And let's face it, Canada is a class nation full of great guys. So there's a little bit about Milan Borjan. He's a number one, and he's going to be our number one in Qatar. And you ain't going to wipe this smile off my face, because this is going to stay until the first minute of the World Cup coming through. I tell you, I am like a kid in a candy store, and I can't help it, and I can't hide it. And I'm loving this, and it's the best trip that I've ever been on with this national team. Now, moving on. Next player we're going to profile. Take a look. Taijon Buchanan, 23 years old, is making a name for himself internationally and at club level football. He started at Sigma FC, played 7 games. Then he went to New England and he played 50 games. And that's where he really made his name. And that's why European clubs started knocking on the door. And that's why Taijon is in Europe with FC Brugge. Or we say sometimes FC Bruges, but Brugge, Bruges, whatever. But the blue and white stripes of Bruges in Belgium is where Taijon Buchanan is playing. And already he's got 7 games under his belt in such a short time. I watched the game today. Taijon played pretty decent, but they had him in a midfield, left-sided, more defensive role than offensive, because they were trying to stop goals leaking and grab a win on the road, and they did eventually win 3-1. It was a great performance by Taijon. Very, very disciplined on the defensive side, but didn't get too much going on the offensive side, because most of the time everything came on the right side for Bruges, or Brugge. But again, Taijon is putting in the minutes, he's getting noticed, he's getting on the field, which means the coach has confidence in him. And this is massive for Taijon, because you know what? Get on the field, get your confidence up, build the experience, learn the game, and become a bigger, better player. And he is going down that road. Remember, he's only 23, he's got another 3 years before he's at prime level. I do not expect Taijon to stay at Brugge. I think quite possibly within 18 months of him settling and getting some great form, he's got a good chance of moving on. But for now, FC Brugge is a great place to be. And Taijon, at only 23, a long way from home, he's making us proud and he's doing himself no harm at all. And he's getting noticed by Dutch clubs right now. There's a few clubs looking at him. I hope one day that he can get to the Premier League, maybe the Bundesliga, or even Ligue 1 in France, where our big man Jonathan David is. So Taijon, he's doing good. He's doing really good. Since 2021, he's a national player. He's got 19 games for the national team as I speak, and he's got 3 goals. That's not bad. Let's face it, he's out wide. He's not the guy to make the goals all the time. But I do say this, Taijon needs to get the ball, cut in across the box, the penalty area, make the goal bigger, and put another beautiful shot on net. I like the guys that cut in. If you go down the line and down the wing, you're making the goal smaller. As far down the line as you go. If you cut in front of the penalty area, you're making the goal bigger as you traverse left or traverse right. And then you slam the ball on net. Think of that shot that I talked about in the last show from Alistair Johnson when he watched the bounce, and then boom! Slam that ball on net. That's what we need to do. Shoot in front of the goal. Make the goal big. Make the shooting easy. And give the keeper no chance. Remember, Ochoa couldn't stop it and Kyle Larin taps it in off the rebound. That's what I'm talking about. If you don't get the goal, you get the rebound. It's like a hockey tactic, yeah? Crash the net after you slam the puck onto the keeper, yeah? It's the same thing. It's a different game, but it's the same philosophy. And yes, I do like hockey. No doubt about it. I mean, with that badge there, how could I not? So, Taijon Buchanan, he's doing pretty good, 23 years old. 3 goals already for Canada. Most guys don't even get a goal for the national team out wide. So he's doing really good. And like I say, in Bruges, or Brugge, he's doing phenomenally. 7 games in, he's doing real good. Really good. We've got 3 clubs, and I'm only interested in the Canadian teams, guys. If you want to go online, no disrespect, and I love you, if you want to go online and check out the American teams, please do. But this show is all about that leaf. It's all about Canada. It's the only thing I touch, apart from world news. But in the show, it's Canadian. That's where my heart is, that's where my brain is, that's where I've worked, that's where I work, and that's what I love touching. So we're going to keep this to Canadian, like I promised right from the start. It's Canadian, and it's Canadiana. And it's just like this, and that leaf, and that name. Ooh, yeah. So, looking at the 3 clubs. 9 games in on the season. It's a young season. 9 games in. Each team has played 3 games. Yeah. Nobody's got a win. TFC and Vancouver are 0-1 and 2. 1 draw apiece. Montreal is 3 losses on the trot. That's not good. We're 9 games in without a win? This might be a bad season for Canadian soccer clubs, but it's a great season and a half for the national team. See, we're not losing on the national side. And if the club teams don't really get up there and get in the playoffs or charge and challenge for a title, it's a kind of a sad thing. But I really would... I mean, I'm going to tell you, I would prefer the national team to be killer and go places and win things and get to World Cups and challenge for a Gold Cup title. Watch that in the future. We're going to win a Gold Cup. Watch that in the future. Watch that in the future. We're going to win a World Cup. Sorry, a Gold Cup. A World Cup would be nice. But we're going to win the Gold Cup in the future. It's going to happen. With this team, with this squad and the way things are going, we are in the frame. We're in the top 3 to win something in CONCACAF. And we're proving that with the standings in CONCACAF World Cup qualifying. Yeah. So Gold Cup moving forward, I'm sure we're going to touch it. Anyway, staying with Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, it's not looking good right now. It can change overnight, and form doesn't stay bad forever unless you're TFC back in 2007 when I interviewed Mo Johnson, and I remember saying, Mo, where do you think the team's going to finish in 2007 in the MLS? We're a franchise club, yada, yada, yada. What's your thoughts? Mo Johnson said straight away, we're going to win this thing. And I remember saying back to him, I'm saying, you know, Mo, normally a franchise team finishes in the basement. And they did. And it wasn't good for a couple of years with TFC either. And yeah, it's in their history books and it's in the past. I don't want another season like that. But the way these three clubs have started off, it looks like three teams are not going to have a good time. Let's hope that changes. But as we speak, you got Vancouver 14th in the West. TFC is 11th in the East. And Montreal is 14 in the East. So we've got two clubs propping up, sitting in the basement, holding up the rest of the league. It's not good. It's got to change, and I hope it does. In the three games, funny enough, I quoted 3-2-1 losses today, and it was only because of form and what I saw. Eventually, it was 2-1 loss, 2-1 loss, and 4-1 loss. It was a 4-1 loss for Vancouver. Lucas Cavallini got a goal in 14 minutes, but that's all she wrote for Vancouver, and they lose 4-1. And it's a case of that's a big black eye. And Vancouver were in that game at one stage, but it got away from them, and it really got away from them. And I mean, TFC, on the other hand, another loss, a 2-1 loss, and Jesus Jimenez gets a goal on 14. We could have had a bit more luck in front of goal, and things could have gone a little differently. But you know what? The old rival, Columbus Crew, of old, well, Columbus get the win. And it's always tight between Columbus and TFC. It's a great rivalry, and I always love seeing red fans down in Columbus. It's fantastic. I even like seeing the yellows up at BMO. And it's not BMO, it's BMO Field. A lot of people say BMO, it's BMO. Come on. Bank of Montreal, yeah, we know what it is, but it's BMO. BMO Field. Even some of the players say BMO, and I always laugh at that, but it's BMO Field, guys. That's what I think, anyway. But, you got to say, it's not good for the three clubs. And then, Bro Girard got the only goal for Montreal, and that was on 52 minutes. But again, we're having no luck in the MLS. I hope it changes. But as long as the national team is playing great, there's room for improvement with the club teams. There's only a little room for improvement on the national team. And you've got to say, the way we're playing, I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't want my club teams to be bad all the time. Let's get that fixed in the league. But I'm happy that our national team is so damn amazing. Really. Now, we're going to go to some world news. The world news. First thing we're going to touch is Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo, CR7. The man who has scored more goals in club football than any player worldwide. 807 goals. That is absolutely amazing. You're thinking of the likes of Pelé, you know, back in the day, and Puskás, the amazing Hungarian from way, way back in the day. Yeah? And Di Stefano, and all these great players that you've never heard about that are in the history annals. None of those guys scored as many goals as Cristiano Ronaldo. 807, and he got a hat-trick against Spurs at the weekend. You got to say, without Cristiano Ronaldo, Man United would be in serious trouble. Serious trouble. Because they got defenders like that guy Maguire, who really has two left feet. And the amount of goals that he's given up, and own goals as well. I mean, why would you pay 80 million for Maguire? I think United need to offload that. But anyway, staying with Cristiano Ronaldo. 807 goals, the all-time scoring leader in world football historically. Nobody ever has scored as many as him. Not even that guy, Messi. I like Ronaldo. Messi's okay too, I'm joking. But I do prefer Ronaldo simply because of the amount of times I got to watch him with my own eyes in the stadium, covering games. Guy's phenomenal. Class act. Yes, he's got some ego. Yeah, he's got some attitude. But all geniuses do. No genius is normal. And he's not normal. He is absolutely amazing. Good-looking fella. Got the body. 37 years of age. Still running around. You tell me another 37-year-old that could do what Ronaldo does. I don't think there's many. But, as we speak, a world record set by Ronaldo again. I mean, he makes a habit of it, yeah? So, there you go. 807 goals. Super, super duper. And he's going places. Moving along, Chelsea FC. I'm not going into the war I'm not going into the politics. I don't interest myself for that. You know that. I've never talked about it. I never will. But two little things. Chelsea FC has a credit card system or credit card facilities. The UK government has ceased that. Cease and desist order issued for their credit card system because of one Roman Abramovich, the owner, the Russian owner. Another thing that the government of the UK has done is they are stopping the sale of the club Chelsea at the moment. You know, that's a silly thing to do, because if it changes hands of ownership and they get the British billionaire who's coming in to buy the club, that really does away with any Russian ties. I'm not anti-Russian, I'm not anti-Ukraine, I'm not anti-anybody. I care less for the politics, that's not my world, guys. But they've halted and stopped the credit card system of Chelsea, the UK government, and they're stopping the sale of the club. If they stop the sale of the club and there's nobody paying the bills, you're really running a risk of bankrupting certain portions of the club, not the whole club, because it's obviously structured to stand forever without the owner. There's other investments coming in. But you're really going to cripple Chelsea for player acquisitions, ground improvements, and such like. So they've got a great ground. Fine. But they'll need players eventually. So that has to get mopped up and cleared up as soon as possible. And again, Chelsea have got their hands tied financially by the British government. Who would have thought that a soccer team would ever be chastised by a government? Remember, they always say don't bring politics into sport. Well, that's politics kicking the, you know what, out of sport. I can't say it because we've got ladies tuning in. Big up to the girls. So there you go, Chelsea. Bad news for Chelsea, bad news for Chelsea. But on a good news thing, Liverpool FC, Mohamed Salah. Fantastic talent, the Egyptian king. Unfortunately, he didn't win the African Cup of Nations, but his buddy Mane did, yeah? Anyway, with Mo Salah, Liverpool are looking for Mo Salah to sign another contract. Will he sign the contract? It's up to Mo. It's up to Mo, and that's where it sits. Liverpool obviously have made the offer. They've made a good offer. They've upped his payment. He's going to be a rich king. He's going to be a rich Egyptian playing for Liverpool if he stays. But there's two clubs in the hunt for Mo Salah, and they're both in Spain. The leader in the race is Real Madrid, and also Barcelona. Let's see where he goes. I'd like to think loyalty is on his side and that he will stay with Liverpool because, quite frankly, he's in a magical team. I see Liverpool contesting the league, contesting Champions League, contesting FA Cups, League Cups for at least another 3 to 4 years, whereby that team will start to get old and they'll need to replace players. But Mo Salah, it's up to him if he signs for Liverpool, not the club, and it's up to him if he leaves. Keep your eye on that. Mo Salah, Liverpool, it's up to Mo to sign the contract. Will he? Or will he leave? Some players have this strange affinity with Real Madrid and Barcelona. But right now, they're not the strongest clubs in Europe. And financially, they're not either the strongest as they were. You've got to say, Mo Salah would be better off to stay at Liverpool and become an absolute legend for the Reds of Merseyside. And don't break it now. Carry on, because years at Liverpool has made him what he is. Remember, he failed miserably at Chelsea, but he's been the supremo king at Liverpool. Me, personally, if I was his agent, I don't like agents, but if I was his agent, I'd say, Mohamed, you got to stay at Liverpool. That's your future. You're the king there. Everybody loves you. You won't need to change a thing, and you can play there till you retire and become a legend, possibly like Stevie Gerrard, but not as big as Gerrard because he is an absolute icon. But let's face it, Mo Salah is a fantastic player. So a bit of news there for Mo Salah. Got to say, I really think he's going to sign the contract with Liverpool. I don't think he's going to leave, but that's only my thoughts. Another guy we're talking about, Erling Braut Haaland. I'll tell you something about Erling Braut Haaland. I really believe he's going to sign for Manchester City. I don't think there's a chance in heck that he's going to sign for Manchester United. I think there's no chance of that. And I don't think there's a chance really of him signing for Liverpool. And Real Madrid and Barcelona, they are trying to get him. And Real have really shown a lot of interest. But Haaland, I believe, 100% will end up at Manchester City. Manchester City has also got a pre-contract agreement apparently in place. That's what's coming out of the rumour mill. And also, you've got to understand, his dad played for Manchester City before one Roy Keane of Manchester United in a Manchester derby literally tried to break Erling Braut Haaland's dad's leg in the game. Roy Keane absolutely destroyed Haaland's dad's knee in that game, and Haaland Sr. would try and make it back, but within 18 months of coming back, he had to retire because he didn't have the pace, he didn't have the strength in that leg, and basically Roy Keane killed his career. When you think about that, Roy Keane being a staunch Man United player, why would you even think about signing for Man United if that was the club that destroyed your dad's career? It's a big point. It's a massive point. I expect Erling Braut Haaland to sign for Man City. And if he does, look out Europe, because I tell you, that'll be the springboard for Guardiola to stick around. Guardiola wants to retire from club football in a couple of years. I think someone like Erling Braut Haaland could keep him in the job, because the amount of goals he's going to score, the amount of success he's going to bring to Man City, I don't think Guardiola wants to miss that. So there you go. Erling Braut Haaland, I think is going to be, I really believe is going to be a Man City player at the end of his career. Now moving on, I'm going to make this really short. But when I was a young'un, my mum went to a medium, and this was in London, England. It's a great story, stick with me. And my mum went to downtown London, central London, Buckingham Palace, Trafalgar Square, Downing Street, Big Ben, the old St Paul's Cathedral, everything in the City of London. By the way, the City of London is only 1 square mile. Greater London is massive, but the City of London, where it all happens, where the Queenie lives, well, it's only 1 square mile of space. And I tell you, a lot goes on in central London. But the medium story, my mum leaves home. We lived in Wimbledon at the time. She goes downtown London, takes a couple of hours, comes back. And as she comes back, she's going in the kitchen, she's making a coffee, and she's looking really happy, and she's had a good day. And then she turns around and she goes, "Oi," that's British for hey. She goes, "Oi, come here." So I go into the kitchen, Mum's got a cup of coffee going, I've got a cup of tea. And she says, "I've got a story for you, Sonny." I went, "Really?" She went, "Yeah." She says, "The medium told me a story about you." Me. And I'm like, "Mum, you went to the medium for you, not me." She goes, "I know. Shut up and listen." I'm like, "I'm listening." And my mum was a great lady. Unfortunately, she's in heaven. But I loved me mum, and she died too young. So she turns around, she says, "Listen, the medium told me," and I'm 15 at the time, "the medium told me, my mum, to tell you," me, she says, "tell your son he's going to live in Canada." Now, I'm 15. She says, "You're going to live in Canada and you're going to make your name in soccer." I'm like, "Okay." And she says, "and you're going to stay in Canada for the rest of your days." I'm like, "Really?" Now, I'm a 15-year-old kid. I'm an absolute football nut. I play and live soccer as if it's everything, as if it's literally everything for me. And all these years later, I ended up in radio, I ended up in TV, I ended up in front of you guys, and I love talking to you, and I love your points. And it's a true story. The medium was absolutely right. 30 years went through until I finished that premonition, or that story from the medium. And I completely forgot about it for decades. And then after the fact that I'm getting in radio, TV, yada yada, I realised, man, this was foretold. So it's a funny little story. It's one I wanted to share. I never thought about it ever since, but when it got me into radio and I got into TV, yada, 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 for games and announcing games in the stadium, which is what I love. I realised, man, oh man, she was absolutely right. Absolutely right. So there's a little story, a medium. I guess my mum's listening to me right now from heaven, and she's probably enjoying it. But I say this to you, it's a true story, and it came true. And it's just one of them things, I guess, you know. But moving on, I hope you've enjoyed it. Next week coming, Monday, Tuesday, Friday or Saturday, we're going to have new player profiles, 2 more guys each show. And we're going to have a view to the next 3 qualifying games. That's coming up pretty soon, and much, much more. And I say, thanks for tuning in again. And I've got to say, the next game coming up for us, 24th, Costa Rica. I would love to have that right now. I can't wait for that game. I'm going to do a 3-game show. Costa Rica coming up first, then Jamaica, then Panama. Then we'll do the pre-game, and then we'll do more player profiles. But as we look at it, we're sitting real good. I can't believe where we are. I'm loving every minute of it. I know you are too. And hey, come back Monday for more, and there'll be more topics. And remember, guys, I love to hear from you. And other people love reading your stuff. I see the algorithms of people clicking in and reading everybody's comments. And be a poet. Comment down below, yeah? Really comment down below and pass this to everybody you can. And remember, guys, I'm very grateful for your interaction and your tuning in, for your poetry down below. And if you can't get down below, which is the easiest way below, then steve@theultimatesoccershow.com. Bring it there and I'll add it to the next show. And again, thanks very much. I really appreciate you guys, and I'm looking forward to Monday. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you in probably 48 hours. Thanks, guys.